That's here.
Okay. Welcome to our
Okay.
meeting.
I have something I have to read. This is the February 9th, 2021 meeting of the Farragut Parks and Athletics Council. This meeting is being held virtually as authorized by Governor Lee's executive orders regarding the COVID-19 pandemic and can be viewed live on the Town of Farragut's YouTube channel, Charter Channel 193, TDS Channel 3, and at townoffarragut.org live stream. And I'm going to take roll. If you will please say here when I call your name. Alderman Drew Burnett.
Here.
Chair Bob Brock.
Here.
Let's see. Secretary Bonnie Tharp.
Here.
Vice Chair Jeff Ulian. I see him joining. There he is. Jeff Devlin.
Here.
Debbie Pinchak. She was here. She'll probably be back. Mark Geller.
Here.
Scott Russ.
I am here.
Randy Armstrong.
Here.
Sue Stool. And Lauren. Now, if everyone can mute yourself. Okay, mute your microphone to limit background noise. When ready to speak, please unmute your microphone and state your name before speaking, since this is live. And when finished speaking, please put your microphone back on mute.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. The first item on the agenda would be the approval of January's minutes. Did everybody have a chance to take a glance at them?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, we got a motion.
Second.
So you get the names, Bonnie. Okay, who made the motion?
Scott Russ made the motion.
Okay, Scott made the motion, and who did the second?
I did. Drew.
Drew Burnett, okay. All approve of the minutes in, just say aye, wave your hand. Good deal. Appreciate that. Next on the agenda will be our Farragut 40 program, and Lauren, that calls for you.
Okay, we have had 110 people register for this program. We have had 20 forms turned into us so far of that 110. And the gift that we gave this year is a reflective armband that says Farragut 40 on it. The 20 people who've picked them up so far have been happy with it. So that is our update.
All righty, thank you, Lauren. I like those bands, so what I got to do to get one, would you explain to everybody again what we need to do?
Well, you've missed the registration deadline. That was January 31st. But we're doing 40 miles before the end of March. So we have 20 people who have completed it, 110 total registrations.
Okay, that's great. All righty, next on the agenda would be our fee recommendations. We talked about this some in the last meeting. So is Sue or Lauren going to address that?
Okay.
Lauren, you want to talk about that yearly fee?
Sure. So we are looking at a yearly permit fee for programs in the park. This would be our photographers that use the park, the people who want to do a boot camp in the park. They don't necessarily use like our athletic fields or our pavilions. And we right now have a $25 per hour charge for them. Most other places don't do a per hour charge. They do a yearly permit fee. We know that, let's see, we looked at Metro Nashville does an 80-20 split on their profit. That's hard to keep up with. The city of Knoxville does a permit for $100 per year. and they work with the recreation department. So before they schedule something in the park, the recreation department has to have it on their calendar. We have to approve their event or their program. And so the city of Knoxville has a really great program already, and we would like to mirror our program to reflect theirs, but we don't necessarily have to just have a $100 per year fee. It could be more. Williamson County Parks and Rec, they do $200 per year. So right now, mostly photographers use it. So we get about $200 per year off of the Farragut Senior Portraits at Founders Park. And so if we did a yearly fee, it would be less work on staff. So we're not giving them a permit every time they book an hour with us. And we would have additional revenue.
All righty.
Questions?
Do we need to bring this in form of a motion that we adopt this procedure?
Yes.
Yes, if you'll make a motion and a second, and then we can have discussion about it.
Okay, do I have someone to make a motion?
This is Scott. I'll make a motion to move forward with the fee.
I'll second it. Devlin, second.
Okay, fantastic. Now, are there questions for discussion and we can discuss it?
Bob,
Yes,
this is Debbie. I am watching and listening in, but I'm having trouble with my audio and video. But I can see you all, and I'm listening on the phone.
fantastic. Do you have any comments on this recommendation while we got you?
I was hearing that, and it sounded like the plan was good to me.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Anybody else have any discussion?
So,
Hey,
so
could you
just
list maybe
clear, can
3
you
or
clearly
4?
state what the choice is? I missed a little bit. I got on a little bit late. So where are we now? What are you proposing?
Okay, so the city of Knoxville, they already have a program in place for programs in the park. They partner with the parks and like the people who want to do the programs partner with the Parks and Recreation Department. And they will either lead a boot camp or just some type of program, whatever they're wanting to do. If it has anything to do with fitness or leading an exercise group using the parks, we would require them to give us their fitness certification and their insurance policy, listing the town of Farragut as an additional insured. So instead of charging people $25 per hour to use our park for this purpose, we're looking at a yearly permit fee, which would, one, save time for staff because we get them in and we have to process them and keep up with a lot of paperwork when we could just do a July 1 to June 30 permit fee. They still have to have their programs approved by us, but we have already on the front end taken a yearly fee from them. The city of Knoxville charges $100 for their permit fee, which I feel like is pretty cheap, especially if you're taking $10 per class for a boot camp or something like that.
Okay,
Thank you.
what amount then would you recommend, Lauren?
I don't know. That's up to you all.
Lauren, could you give us some examples of people who are using it besides like a boot camp or whatever?
Yeah.
else? I'm mindful of the smaller businesses who, getting hit with $200 may hurt them because this is generally for smaller groups or
Right.
photographers.
Yes. So if we have someone who wants to do a fee-based program and partner with the town of Farragut, where we would advertise their program, we would take registration for their program, all of that stuff we handle in-house, but this is for outside people who do not necessarily want to partner with us, but they want to use our parks. And we have like photographers We already have photographers using our parks paying the $25 per hour fee. We have boot camps using our parks. We have businesses in Farragut that want to use our parks and charge, like the yoga studio and stuff like that. The city of Knoxville actually has about 20 groups who partner with them now to offer things like this. We have been working with Tinker Garden, which is an outdoor kind of once a week preschool, and it's a national organization. The checks come from Pennsylvania. So instead of charging them $25 per hour, we would just charge them a flat yearly fee.
How many people do you think do things at the parks and just don't register, where you would say they should be registering?
A lot, especially utilizing our synthetic turf fields when they're doing one-on-one soccer coaching for a ton of money. We would like them to pay the yearly fee and rent the field. If you're going to use a pavilion for your program, or if you're going to use a court for your program or a field for your program, we want you to pay the yearly fee and then pay the rental fee for the facility that you're using.
Yeah, and that goes for pavilions too. So they, whoever's running whatever these businesses are, can't block a pavilion unless it hasn't been rented, and then it's a first come first serve anyway. But they can't use any equipment or any rental areas or close down any areas. It's still a public park. So it would just give them access. We know it's happening a lot. We just can't catch them, or we catch them and they move and then they come back. And, there's some photographers who have been really great and done what they need to do. And then we have some film studios that like to come and use some parts of the park for various filming things, and this would be helpful for that too. Again, they would need to rent an area if they were going to going to do something in a certain area. But it will make life a lot easier for Lauren.
This is what I was. This is Jeff Julian. I was going to ask, what are, how does one know that they need to do this? Are there signs posted that this area not for profit use? Is that really the delineation we're saying? If they're making money off of using the property, or is it because it seems like a gray area, for people whether they know or don't know?
Well, if they're charging for a service, then they have to do this, whether it's nonprofit or for profit. If you're charging for using public land, that's the reasoning behind it. And yes, Lauren can tell you more about where it's posted.
So we right now have it posted, of course, on the website, but we have it in all of the kiosks. And when we do see someone taking pictures or whatever, we do not say you have to stop immediately. We give them the information in their hand. All the park staff have the information, and we hand it to them, and we say, please follow our guidelines for what you're doing. And again, the photographers, they're about 50-50. We have 50% are really great about booking with us. Jupiter Entertainment books with us about 4 or 5 times a year. So if we could just have a yearly permit fee, it would say, I get about 2 or 3 requests per week. Whether they follow through with it or not is different, but it is often.
Okay. So it feels like that we need to go ahead and make a recommendation. We got the recommendation, so now we need to discuss a fee. So it sounds like maybe 200 is borderline, but what's y'all's thoughts?
Hey, Lauren, it's Mark. What does an average rent? I mean, if the groups who do register, how many hours would you say they're using it over the year? I mean, is someone using it 10 times at paying $25 an hour, or are we talking 2 times? I'm just trying to gauge where we're at price wise, because 200, Jupiter may be able to do 200, but your local photographer may not be. But if he's using it 10 times a year at $25 an hour, he's already paying 200, would save him $50.
Yes. So the Farragut High School senior photos, they pay about $400 per year to take the photos in our parks, that photographer, that company. I know I get family photos every year and I pay $365 for my yearly family photos. And if I do Christmas photos with Santa, I pay like $200 for my Christmas. So our photographers, they can pay it too. But the ones who book with us are usually booking, every Saturday in the spring. So they're paying for sometimes 8 hours of photography for one Saturday. So it would save everybody money and save staff time.
Are you worried about losing revenue? I mean, if you've got somebody that's doing it that often, they may be paying you right now $1,000 a year. And so they may be getting a great deal.
Well, I think that's when we have to think about, do you want to pay me my hourly salary to take reservations for, as we add stuff into our Parks and Recreation Department, we're about to open almost 30 acres of more parkland, tennis courts, all of this. I think you're looking at staff time compared to what we bring in for fees. I don't really know
That's the issue more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a staff time issue, but also I think if we make it easy for people, the people who are not paying us are going to have a much easier time paying a yearly fee than calling me every single, every Thursday when they can book on the front end. I would like 7 Thursdays.
We actually think it will do better with this because people will be more apt to do a yearly, whether it's at 100, 150, 200, than to, otherwise they're like, oh, well, I forgot to do it or whatever. The other big piece about this is what Lauren said earlier, is that they do need to coordinate their times with us, which is easy for them to do. They can send us an email or call us and we put it on a calendar for the park assistants. The big reason for this, we have one really bad example of when we had Book Fest at Founders Park, and we had a photographer who had not registered, had not paid her fee, hadn't done anything, and showed up with rabbits and a baby lamb, I think, or I can't remember. And she was blocking the main bridge to the restroom and had just sort of set up this whole tableau. And of course, the people coming for the event thought that the animals were for them to pet. And so it was a big old mess is what it was. And it would just be helpful, because if we can, and we'll send it, we sent everything to all the photographers before, there's a photography group, a listing. We'll send it out to a lot of different groups to tell them about this new program. But I think we have a better bet that they will actually work with us than what they were doing before, which is just take their chance and show up.
All right, sorry, one last question, then hopefully I'll be done. Would this fee have any impact on the deposit to, like the trash deposit we talked about last meeting or the meeting before? Meaning, if I can't remember that deposit, was it 200 or 250 or 500? Does that get factored into this? Would that matter, or is it just? I mean, I know it's for bigger events, not for your average photographer, but does that? So they would pay say it's a 200 fee now, would they also pay the damage fee on top of that as a hold for big events?
Right. So we have if you want to have an event in the park, we have a whole nother application process, which does have deposits and all of that stuff. So this is mainly for people who are programming, having, taking pictures. I keep saying taking pictures and doing boot camps because that's what we have in our parks. But it's helpful to know that we can suspend their contract with us for the year if they do make a mess or if they do cause issues. So again, the city of Knoxville, if you look up their park programs in the park, city of Knoxville, they have it laid out very nicely And I've been talking to Aaron Browning about it. And we do feel like if we mirrored the city of Knoxville, more people would understand what we're doing, because there are already, again, 22 groups using their parks with this.
We would also, part of this would be them signing this contract to get this, this permit basically. And in the contract will go through the fact that, if they do, they can't damage any equipment. So we've had an experience where we're pretty sure we've had some boot camps who have bent some of our tables at McPhee Park, the ADA tables. So, I mean, we know kids do it too, but we're pretty sure that some of the boot camps have done it. So again, for us to be able to talk to them and sort of know who's out there or when will actually help us a lot. It won't be perfect. People will still try to get around it, but at least we have a plan and, a better plan. So.
Hey, this is
I'll just
Scott.
say I'm sorry, did I talk over you?
Please go ahead, Drew.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll just say I like the idea of mirroring Knoxville. I think if everybody else already understands that setup, I think it'll be easy to understand it here. And I think we probably have a good chance of pulling some people from those parks who like that setup better, and they'd come to a park with turf fields or nicer, just a nicer park. So unless you really think that price needs to be $50 higher or 75, which I'm not hearing you say, I'm good with mirroring it.
Just want to add to that. Yeah, I feel the same way about that too, because I think what the main intent is to be able to capture some of that revenue to cover some of the costs for Lauren and administrative costs, and also simplify the process for her, but also for the applicants too. So, if does that $100 cover, what the expenses are for Lauren and your department, Sue, to manage this, then yeah, I would mirror it against Knoxville too, and keep it simple.
Yeah, this is Randy. And Lauren, the repeat offender. So if my daughter came and wanted a permit to do a one-time thing, I mean, would you consider like the $25 hourly in certain situations so that folks that can't afford the $100 you could still collect money from them?
Well, we had not really discussed this, so this is something that you all could discuss. We had most of the requests that we get in, they're like for instance, last week we had a lady send an email to us saying, I want to do a program, but I want to meet 8 times. I don't want to pay $25 an hour. Do you have something else? So I don't think that it would be, I think if we had 2 different price points, it could get confusing. Mm-hmm. If college students come to us and they want to film for a documentary or something they're doing for school, we do not charge them. If it's for educational purposes, we do not charge. We never have. And we have a lot of UT students who do come and film and stuff at Mayor Bob and everywhere. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I think if we just have one price across the board, I feel like it makes it easier to understand.
Yeah, I understand that. I get that. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thanks for the information. So we have to.
Oh.
Go ahead.
So,
are we talking $200 or $100? What fee did we decide?
If we mirrored the Knoxville program, theirs is $100.
Okay.
This is
And we
Becky.
can always
Go ahead.
We can always start at 100, and then if next year we come to your fee schedule in the February, January, February is usually when you look at the fee schedules and make your recommendations to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. We can always say, we think people are making a lot of money off us and change it at that point. So every year and more if we need to. we have that opportunity to make recommendations to the board, because ultimately it's the Board of Mayor and Aldermen that will have to set this.
Well, yeah, and it goes back to like, I think it'd be fine to mirror it. I'm not suggesting that we do, but is there anything that the Farragut parks offer that the Knoxville parks don't offer other than being nicer parks that would add, that would add more value for an applicant?
I feel like we would let them use our synthetic turf fields if they paid the rental fee also. We have a lot of, again, the fitness groups that want to come out and use our synthetic turf fields. They would pay the $100 fee for the year, but we would still get revenue off of them for using our synthetic turf fields. Most of the programs in the park that the city of Knoxville, most of their partnerships are all at Lakeshore because they have open space. So that, the people who use our parks for these are typically in the open space beside the pavilions at McPhee, which is not really there anymore. If you all have been up there because of the construction, but they'll use the flat open space at Anchor Park at the top of the park near the road. And then again, Founders Park is gorgeous and every photographer uses it all year long for photos.
Okay, so any further questions or discussion? So do we need another motion to set a fee? Or just turn that over to you guys?
You're just gonna make the recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, so.
All righty. So who would care to make that motion then that we present this to the board?
You've already made the seconded the motion to mirror the City of Knoxville program, so I think you're good. So that's $100. You just need to vote on it.
Okay. If everybody will turn their mics back on, I guess that's the fairest way to do it. So one at a time. I vote yes.
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 How about the callers online, Deborah?
This is Debbie. Yes.
Okay, is Pam Hall online?
Pam is, she's just streaming it for us. She's,
Okay.
yeah.
So it looks to me like we have a unanimous vote, so it passes unanimously. Thank you all for that. And thanks, Lauren, for all the hard work. Maybe this will ease it up some for you guys administratively. Next on the agenda was the new special event fee for Campbell Station Inn / McGill Plaza.
I'll take this one if that's okay. So we now have this beautiful plaza, and we know that people are going to want to use it for events and such, or for private events or public events or whatever it is. So we need to have a rental fee to pass on to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And this is really hard. You can see on the chart that was sent out to you that we did a lot of research, but it's a little bit of apples to oranges or grapefruit to nuts, whatever. It's every space is different, and so it's sort of hard to figure out what's the right thing and what's not the right thing. So we have made a proposal, but it's just a proposal, and the staff is proposing that for use of the plaza for 100 or less, if it's a nonprofit, it would be $300, and this is for a day rental for 8 hours basically. So whatever, it doesn't matter whether you want it 1 hour or 2 hours. Staff-wise, we can't really handle anything but a day rental on this. So that's $300 for a nonprofit and $400 for a private, like a wedding or a reception or something like that, or a for-profit rental. That's if you have 100 or less. 101 or more, The nonprofit fee would be $450, and the profit or private fee would be $600. In addition, there'd be an electrical fee if you wanted to connect to our electrical panels of $100. The trash fee for 100 or less would be $75, and town staff would take care of that. We would put out extra trash cans. We would remove the trash at the end of the night. If it's 101 or more, we really don't have enough staff to do that, and there's no dumpster on site. So we would require anyone who has an event that's more than 100 or 101 or more, go ahead and arrange with like Junk Be Gone or someone to have a dumpster there, and they would be responsible for filling it, which is not unusual. It's what the Business Alliance does every time they rent a parking lot. So it's not unusual at all. The alcohol fee, because this property has been approved to have alcohol. For nonprofits, it would be $100, whether it's a sales or no sales. And for profit or private, if you're not selling and you're just giving it away as part of a reception or whatever, it'd be $250. If you're selling it, which is where you make a lot of money, it would be $500, and that is in line with the same fee that we would charge here at the community center for anyone who's having a public event here and selling alcohol. We do have a couple additional, well, there'll be lots of rules and regulations, but there's a couple different other things that they would have to do for alcohol. They would have to, for this particular, because it's outside and it's in a public area, they would have to hire officers or an officer. They would have to go to the beer board to get a permit, because we'd want that control, I think, at least at the beginning. And then obviously they'd have to go to the state of Tennessee to get the wine or liquor permit. We also would allow them, if it was 101 or more people, we would allow them to shut down the two entrance roads because to allow them more space in there. And we would facilitate that. Town staff would facilitate that closure. Parking would then be available here at the community center for that event. But they could use then the whole area, which for 100, start getting over 100 people, they're probably going to need that extra space, and it depends on what they're doing. There's no equipment involved in this. Everyone would have to provide their own tables, and chairs, rentals, tents, all that kind of stuff. We did have a tent fee of $50 because the tents do some damage, and just to make sure that that's covered. So that's our proposal. We are wildly open to any suggestions on that. Again, this is really hard to compare to anything else. This would not apply to any partnered events. So the Farragut Business Alliance, if we're partnering with them with event, it would not apply. The Lawn Chair Series, which is a partnership with the Mama Jam group, would not apply. So there's a lot of things that we'll be doing there that will either be town-sponsored events or co-sponsored events that we may have a little bit of coordination with them, but someone else is doing the majority of the work just because of staffing limitations. So that would not include any of this. This is just if someone wants to rent it for a run that we have nothing to do with. I've already had a request for that. And they would, do what they do. They would get an 8-hour block of time basically to do that. If they needed a little bit more time, depending on what it is, we could definitely work with them within the confines of the 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. hours of all of our parks or plazas. The other caveat is this is a public place, so you can't block it. So it has to still be open for public to walk through if they want to, just like any rentals that we have at the parks right now. So that would be the other caveat to it. And there'll be a ton of rules and regulations.
Thank you, Sue. That's very informative, very well thought out, it sounds to me like. So it sounds like it's a great plan. So is there further discussion, questions on this, or do we need to make a motion first to discuss it?
If you could make a motion in a second to follow the staff recommendations, and then we can amend whatever. So,
Okay.
Hey, Sue, just a question too, you know, as far as the beer permitting goes, how do we treat that at the community center where it's bundled? Is that correct?
at the community center, they do not have to go to the beer board. And the difference to me is that I think we lost Scott, but the difference is that at the community center, it's controlled because it's inside. When it goes outside, I really like the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to put their stamp of approval on it before we have people outside drinking in an area that's really a public area. So, yeah, I mean, it works. The Farragut Business Alliance, it does it very, very well. And it can work in a fine situation, but they have to go and get that permission from the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Hey, Sue, when you're reading over those fees, I'm looking through the email, and am I missing what you're talking about? Because I got the Excel sheet open, but I don't see what you were reading for the recommended fees. Where were you reading that from?
So the most recent email that I sent you all, because I sent you the one that didn't have that on it.
Ah, that's what I'm on.
So the most recent one I sent at 5:01 today.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Let me go through the fees real quick again, because I know some of you didn't have time. So just the rental, the base rental for 100 people or less, and this is estimated for their group, with nonprofit would be 300 for the day. For-profit or a private event would be 400. 101 or more, nonprofit would be 450. Profit or private would be 600. In addition, there's an electrical fee regardless of what size it is, for $100 if you want to attach to our electricity. And that basically because some staff member is going to have to be there and make sure it's all working and provide the tail and all that kind of stuff. For the trash fee, if it's 100 or less, then there's a $75 fee just for our staff to collect it. We will have extra trash cans out there, but we have to haul that. We have to haul trash from Founders Park and McGill Plaza to either the town hall or the community center for dumping right now. So that would, it would add a burden to us to do that above the normal trash that we collect, which is a lot. And then if it was 101 or more, then we would just ask them to go ahead and arrange for a trash pickup service, which is not that hard to do. Then we're saying a tent fee of $50. We do have a security deposit in here, 100 or less at $300 and 101 or more at $500. This would be refunded to them once the event's done and everything's cleaned up, as long as there's not, trash and everything. If we do have to clean up trash or have damage, then whatever we have to fix or clean, the time we spend cleaning up would be deducted from that deposit. And then the alcohol fee of $100 for nonprofit, and regardless of whether they're selling or not selling. For-profit or private, $250 if they are giving it as part of a party or whatever that might be, and $500 if they're selling it. And then in addition, having to go to the beer board to get the permit and having an officer, if there is alcohol, having an officer on site.
Thank you, Sue. That is a ton of information, so I hope everybody had a chance to write it down. Does anybody have any thoughts or suggestions?
I'm gonna make the motion to approve the staff recommendations.
That
Devlin.
was-
This is Debbie. I second it.
Okay, we got a first and a second, so all in favor. Any more discussion on this first? So everybody that's in favor of it, raise your right hand. We've got it. I think we got a unanimous vote again. Thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you. We will take, usually all the fees go to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen in May or June for approval, and we will be doing that for all the other fees. But with this annual permit, since we want to sort of get this in place, and for the McGill Plaza, Campbell Station Inn, we will be taking that to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen sometime in March, I believe, so that we can go ahead and get this in place, because we, again, are already having some questions about rentals. So thank you.
Fantastic. That's everything I have on the agenda right now. Are there any reports that anybody wants to submit, like playground equipment, or I know we got the parade planned, so any further discussion or?
I want to put one thing into your all's heads to think about before we meet again. We have 3 synthetic turf fields, and starting the very last weekend in February, there is very limited availability on weekends through the month of June for local play. So we have booked 13 tournaments. Let me look and just give you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14 tournaments between now or the end of February and June. So we need to start thinking about if we're going to reserve time for our community use on weekends. So we have adult leagues, adult soccer leagues. We have the Lenore City Hispanic League. We have KMSL that use our fields on weekends for their league play because adults, work Monday through Friday. So we just need to think about what we're doing. Do we want tournaments to come in and take over weekends? Or do we want to reserve some time for our groups to be able to come in and play? Some people allow 2 tournaments per month per field. Some people don't care. But this year, field allocation was a little hard for our adult soccer leagues because that's when they play, and we had filled it with tournaments. So something to think about. We don't need to make any recommendations tonight, but we will bring it up in the next few months to discuss.
Sounds good to me. And what about the teachers that are going to be our parade?
So they will be getting letters from me this week. They're written. We just have to send them out, and they will also get emails inviting them, and then we'll go from there.
Fantastic.
Lauren, do we have any update on the gym floor?
So Sue has an update as of today.
We think. So the difficulty with the floor has been that apparently there's a worldwide shortage of at least certain types of flooring. Who knew? And the floor that we have spec'd, or that PBA has spec'd, and what has been put down 3 times, is not available and will have to come from overseas, and it'll be many, many, many weeks before that can happen to even get the product. So the contractor Denark worked with PBA and the architects to look at a substitute product I got a message today that said that the substitute product is actually a superior product to what we have by a little bit. Same, it will look the same, it acts the same, it's the same cushioned kind of vinyl. It's actually a little bit bigger cushion, and I mean little bit bigger, not enough to make any problems with the flooring or adaptation to the halls or any of that. But the good thing was that there was actually some in stock in Atlanta. So I got this via message. I left a message, so I'm hoping, but they were scrambling to see if they could, if we would approve it, they could go ahead and get that secured so that maybe we can open. I'd say we're looking at mid-March right now, because there's these downtimes that have to happen after the product has to relax on the floor in a heated situation for a while, and then once it's put down, I think it has to stay with no one on it for a little. It's up to 7 days, but I don't know if there's variation in that. And then once they put the lines down, that's a 7-day wait before you can get back on the floor. So, we're talking a 3-week turnaround at least. So we're hoping by mid-March we might have a gym.
So is there a chance they've got that product within a 30-50 mile radius that we can see?
I don't think they do, because they had to get they did get a piece mailed to them, but they're in a little bit of a panic because apparently there's only so much of that product available, and they needed to be able to secure it quickly. So we had to say it was okay with us if it met all the standards of the other floor. So we'll see. I mean, we can ask them for the sample of it, but if we were going to have it, otherwise we're looking, to be fair, if this doesn't happen, we will probably not have a floor even start until the end of April, because we also have a bridal fair from the Farragut Business Alliance that's already sold out their booth, already advertising. They can use the gym as it is right now. We can use it for events. We just can't use it for athletics. It's not safe for athletics, but it's safe for just a bridal fair because it's a concrete floor and it's been cleaned and everything, so it's fine. But we would be really into late May. So, but again, this is all pending the architect's approval that this meets all the substitutions and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see.
That sounds good. And is there any way we can get a commitment price-wise? Because I was talking to a flooring specialist today, and she just announced that in a few weeks, prices are going to increase 20%.
I guess that's part of that shortage. I guess everyone during the pandemic decided to redo their house, and it's caused a run on product. The pricing doesn't matter to us. This has nothing to do. This is Denark fulfilling their contract, and not only will they have to fulfill their contract, we're going to hold them up for some money because we haven't been able to use the gym. So there are damages that we'll see where that goes, because there are lots of lawyers already involved that don't even involve us, involve PBA and the contractor. But there are damages, and they are well aware of the damages because we have not been able to use the gym, since we stopped it. We haven't used it since November 1st, but we were supposed to be back in January. So here we are sitting partway through February and still no use. So, but the cost doesn't matter to us. This is the fulfillment of their contract. So
thank you so much. That's interesting information. So
yeah.
Appreciate that. Is there any further business to discuss? Do we want to plan our next meeting or wait?
I would like to say one thing about McPhee Park. Drew was there last week. We took a little tour with the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. I believe Debbie was there too.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we got to go right down there on the floor level, basically, to see everything and how it was going. It's things are moving along well. We're going out tomorrow, or I'm going out tomorrow to help inspect some concrete areas that we have some questions about, and just to make sure where we are on that. But we expect this still right now, the fulfill date for their contract is the end of June, I believe, or end of May. No, June. And then we will have to move in, and it'll take Public Works several weeks to put in benches, trash cans. There's a lot of equipment that actually has to be put in place, and we do that ourselves to save money. So we're in the process of ordering some of that stuff right now. So it's going well, and it's really exciting. We're hoping to have a grand opening, sort of little celebration, maybe a little pickleball tournament and some fun kids games and stuff sometime in July, we hope, maybe late July or early August, depending on how fast everything gets done. They did plant the buffer strip, or I believe they planted the buffer strip this week for the neighborhood. So I think that will help with that a little bit. And otherwise, Drew, anything you want to add to this?
Nope, nothing to add. Just getting down there, not looking at it from the road was really nice. It's a lot of progress, but a lot to come. So all good on my end.
Apparently there's someone named, what is it, Jack? Lauren, what's the guy's name?
Jack.
Jack keeps coming in at night and putting his name and other things into the wet concrete. So it's getting really annoying at this point for our contractors. So we're trying to...
They're pretty sure that Jack is a grown man also, not a child.
He's 2 doors up from me.
Well, thank you so much for that information. Do we want to discuss our next set time for meeting, Lauren?
Yeah, so we are thinking that we're not going to have anything to cover in March because we'll be taking the fees to the board, so we won't have an update on that. McPhee, there will be nothing significant happening in March. So we're looking at maybe in April, coming back together in April for our next meeting.
Fantastic. Any further business to discuss? Anyone?
I was going to let Lauren know that I'd be happy to do your family pictures for only $300. Sounds like you're paying some good money for those pictures.
My pictures are perfect. They crop off the chin and everything.
We can do some bartering maybe. So if there's no further business, I'll accept a motion for adjournment. Anyone?
Second the motion.
Okay. We will stand adjourned. So thank you all and see you in 2 months.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Be safe, all.